Morning, guys. I just want to show you what's going on with my car. If anybody else is having this problem, it might help you, might be a solution to you if you're having an issue. Yeah, it sounds awful. I know. Well, while waiting for it to warm up, I'll just give you a rundown on what's going on. The vehicle so far, it's taking longer to crank it up in the mornings, and the diagnosis or the problem I'm getting on it is saying that it's the crankshaft position sensor, which that's what I'm going to be putting on this morning. The low coolant warning, that's another issue. My bleeder bolt actually had broken off, and it's leaking coolant through that area, which I'll fix that myself. I can get another bolt for that. But my main issue right now though is the crankshaft position sensor, but it's causing issues with the car running. It'll shut off if I'm stopped or whatever, or if I'm trying to accelerate, the car will either misfire or either it'll just lose power. It'll struggle to try to go or increase on the speed. Okay guys, I got off the old crankshaft position sensor, and yes, I broke the tab on it. Luckily the new one has a tab on there. It took me a minute to get that off, but what took a long time was that, for one, my jack wasn't working in order for me to jack the car up to go under it as I had originally planned. So what I had to do, I took off the intake and air box. Well, I didn't actually have to take the intake off, it's still there, but the exhaust intake manifold is still on, but I found a workaround for that. I don't know if you can see this on video or not, but I'm gonna try to show you where exactly that it is at. If you look right there, that's the starter, and directly below that is where the exhaust manifold goes in. Let me see it. I mean the crankshaft position sensor. I didn't mean to say that. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to shine a light on it so you can see where it's at. Right there. Okay guys, I got the parts and everything back in the car. I'll try to explain in detail on how to replace the position sensor. What I had to do is I had to remove the air box off the car, and I had to remove the hose off the throttle body. I mean, not the throttle body, but the intake. I had to remove all of this. You use a flathead screwdriver to remove that. You have to remove this sensor right here also as well. And you can also remove this. All you have to do is hold these two clips down and it comes off. And you don't have to remove the intake manifold. You can if you want to, but you don't have to remove this. You can actually maneuver your hand under here once you have all this out under, in order to get to the crankshaft position sensor, which is under the starter. I wish I can give you a more detailed picture on it, but I can't. I might have to get another battery. As you can see, I had to jump the car off again in order to get it to start. But while I'm letting that warm up, I'm letting the battery charge up right now, I'll just give you an in-depth detail on what I had done. I did have to replace the crankshaft position sensor on the car. And at first I was unsuccessful after getting it in there. I didn't quite have it all seated all the way in the compartment, but I had to go back in today and readjust it and slide it in. When you put it in, you have to make sure that it's angled the same way as the hole. If you don't, it won't seat into it correctly, and of course, you know, the car won't crank or anything properly either. So once I had done that and got the screw and everything tightened up on the car, oh, and in case you're wondering on what size socket you need, you don't have to get the E-socket. I actually used a 1/4 inch socket for the bolt, and it fit perfectly, and I was able to loosen and tighten with that. So all you need for that is like a 1/4 inch socket, and I can even show you what I'm talking about on that as well. Yeah, I know my trunk's pretty messy right now. It's not the cleanest. Yeah, all you really need for that is this. This is a 1/4 inch socket right here that I have. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. There we go, it's focused now. That's all I needed for that bolt, was that. And this is really all I had in order to take that sensor off. The hardest part was actually getting in there to feel around for it. This is the old sensor that I took off. And yes, I did break the clasp that's on there on the old sensor, but the new one has one. I was able to put it on there. So you do have to be very careful when you're taking it out, because you can risk breaking that. But as you can see, though, the car is running, and I will I'll turn the car off and turn it back on to show, because before, when I was cranking it, it took a minute for it to crank, but I'll show you that it actually does crank now. And it cranks right up without any issues. It doesn't take a minute for it to crank up. I mean, it cranks right on up for me. Hey guys, I'm back. I just want to do a quick recap. Just want to show that the car is still running good. See, I think it was Saturday, or yeah, it was Saturday, and I finished it on Sunday. Basically, on Saturday, I had tried to replace the crankshaft sensor, and I had trouble, excuse me, with that. Sorry about that. And I was able to actually get the sensor on that Sunday, and I got it on correctly, but I ended up having to jump my car off because in the process of trying to crank it up after putting the sensor on, it had drained my battery. My battery was already dying before that, because with the bad sensor on there, it was draining the battery over time, and it drained it down to the point to where it literally just was almost dead. So I ended up having to jump it off like twice. After that second jump, though, the car finally started to run right at that point. And yeah, I know it's stupid of me doing this video this late in the day. I meant to do it earlier, but I just want to give you guys a rundown and go back through and try to explain like what exactly I had to do. I did some research, went online, seen a few videos on YouTube on how to replace the sensor, or the correct way to do it. But I found another way to do it, and I'm not the only one. There is another video I had found where a guy had went through and got the sensor out without having to actually go under the car or take the intake manifold off. But all that I had to remove on the car, and I would show you, but it's too dark right now, and I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be able to see anything.
but I'll just try to explain. I mean, I'm sorry, I was just tired. It's been a long day at work today. Uh, Basically, you want to remove your, not your intake manifold, but you want to remove your air box. You also want to remove the hoses that connect to the air box and to the throttle, if I'm not mistaken on that. Once you have that off, then you'll have access to where you can actually put your hand under the intake manifold and go around it to reach the crankshaft sensor. The crankshaft sensor is located below the starter. What I would try to do is I would try to see if I can pull up a diagram or something to show you what I'm talking about. Those of you that have worked in your vehicles or have seen a starter, you know what I'm talking about. But basically, I did try to show in the video where it was located at, but I didn't have the camera lined up exactly where it needed to be, so I was unsuccessful on that. And now that I got everything back together, I really can't show you guys where it's at. I can explain to you where it's at, but I really can't show you. But I will try to see if I can find something to show you where exactly it's at. But I mean, my car is running good right now. I mean, it's running better than it was when I first got it. Actually, when I first got it, it wasn't running, in a bad state at that time. But uh, it's I can really tell a big difference after getting the crankshaft sensor in there, and I'm really happy with that. But I know I still have a lot more work that I need to do in the car. The only things I've really done myself is I replaced the spark plugs and coils on it, uh, replaced the sensor on the car, and that's pretty much all I've really done to it so far. But what I really would like to do going further is I would like to get the transmission fluid changed on the car and the filter for that. I also would like to see about updating my brakes as well on the vehicle. And then maybe later on in the future, there's something I had looked into. Um, I don't really want to put any performance parts in the car, but I would like to get the stage 3 intake manifold. I have heard that once you have the car in good running condition, you can get your ECU upgraded to run on the stage 3 intake manifold, and that you can get a little bit more horsepower. So that is something I might do in the future later on. If I do actually do that, I will post a video on that, but that's not something that happened anytime soon. So hoping I can do that later on. I'm hoping, possibly. Anyway, well, that's all for now. um, I mean, you can leave a comment below, or anything, if you have any advice you want to give me, or for mods, or for how to go further with the vehicle, or anything like that. I'm always appreciating good or bad comments. They don't matter. I'll respond accordingly as well. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you later.